want to talk with you about the 5 realities of turning your hobby into your career. I first started a blog back in 2012, but I had no idea what the blogging world was like or what it could be. You know how people say that they are early adopters? I am not in that camp. I was always there, but I never fully got the memo. I could have been an early blogger. I could have blown up due to my early success. I was actually living in Madrid. I could have become this, big travel blogger, but I feel like I'm a little slow. Like I didn't get there. I didn't get there for a really long time. If you are like me, where you always feel slightly late to the game, you're fine. It's okay. If you really want something, I like to believe that you still can find a way. I know that that's not always the case, but in my case, I made it happen. And so that's all I can speak for. I started that blog in 2012 and it was like, hey, here's my life update, family. I am traveling all around Europe because I was living in Madrid for a year on a Fulbright grant. Cut to 2016 is when I create an official travel blog, the first version of the blog that I have today. It continued to be a hobby. It was always this thing I did on the side. I felt guilty spending time on it because it wasn't generating anything, but I also loved doing it. It was what I did for fun on my evenings and weekends, was write about my latest trip because I felt like I was back there. And I loved seeing people take my recommendations and create magical trips of their own. So I have loved this for a long time. I have hoped and believed that it would turn into something bigger. And I've had so many doubts and so many moments where I'm like, this is going to be a hobby forever. And I love it. So that's great. I wish it could be something more. I don't think it's in the cards for me. I have been all versions of this person. But now where I sit before you today, I have been able to monetize my blog, my passion project, my hobby, my love. At the start of 2024, I was able to join Mediavine, which is one of the biggest ad networks for bloggers to be on. The way that it happened, the way that I got there was at the end of 2022. Let's cut to 2022. If you watched my previous video on trying and failing to pursue the digital nomad lifestyle, you will know that 2022, a lot of different things happened in my life. And one of the things that happened was I got laid off and I needed to show up for my family. I didn't want to work for anyone else anyway. Thankfully, I had some savings and I finally found the right blogging course for me that changed the game for me and finally made me understand how to blog. And I will link, I do have an affiliate link for this, but I recommend this woman and this course with my whole heart. I'm still an active part of the community. It's Scale Your Travel Blog if you've never heard of it, and I'm gonna link it. Following that program to up level my blog is what got me, with a year of dedicated focus, a year, 2022, at the end of 2022, I started the course. At the beginning of 2024 is when I got monetized. I want you to not negate that year of effort it took. How did I have time to dedicate that? Well, I had gotten laid off, but I had some savings and I was living rent-free at my parents' in my childhood bedroom in my 30s. In my 30s. There's a lot I had to grapple with there. That is not a glamorous way to go about it. And a lot of people aren't willing to do that, and that's okay. The way the cards fell for me, that's where I found myself, and I decided to make something of it. So now here I am, where my blog is actually one of my income streams. Lord, I hope that continues, because just because I'm here, the blogging world is also still so volatile that I'm constantly trying to stay here because this is where I want to be, right? I'm constantly trying to stay at the table, but that's not what this is about. This is about what are the 5 realities you should be aware of when it comes to turning your hobby, like I did, into a career, like I did. Let's get into it. First of all, have you ever seen that TikTok trending sound that's like, I didn't want to work a 9 to 5, so instead I'm working 24/7. Facts. It is so hard for me to pull away from my work. Weekends, I don't have weekends. I am always working, because when you turn your hobby, the thing you love, into the thing that you also get money from, it's so hard to step back. And I have found it's really a blocker for me. It's really hard for me to hire anyone to help me because it's my, I don't want to say it's my baby. Ew. It's like it's my passion. It's my hobby. It's my thing that I love, and it's really hard for me to trust and bring other people into that to my own detriment, right? So I am working all the time. I wake up at 6 a.m. When I'm not traveling, I wake up at like 6 a.m. I'm sitting at my computer. I'm working until it's time to go to bed. It's not healthy. It's not the lifestyle I want for myself, but it's so hard for me to pull away and say, okay, how do I now build a balanced life around this now that I have gotten to this point? Because I just want to work on this all the time. It's fun for me. I love it. And I know that I cannot be a one-dimensional human where all I focus on is this, even though I love it and there's so many layers to it. That's reality number one, is I am actively trying to now figure out what my day should look like, what my life should look like, so that I'm a healthy, well-rounded human being. Two, once you turn a hobby into a business, maybe this is not for everyone, but for me, everything starts to look like a business idea. Every hobby, if I'm having dinner with a friend and they're telling me about something they love to do, their hobby, my brain is going, oh my God, you could totally make money off of this. Oh my gosh, you could totally turn this into your business. Any hobby that I try to come up with, and that's just not a way to live a life, right? That is something that I'm noticing about myself, and I've had this mindset for a long time, and it's not even necessarily about the money. It's just, that's where my brain wants to jump to, is like, here's what this could be, and it always ends in a businessy answer. Another reality that can be a little bit frustrating is that once you do start to turn your hobby into a career, people will want to know what you did, how you did it exactly, all of these things, but they don't actually want those answers. They don't actually want that help. I have the course that I recommended at the beginning of this episode, I have never gate kept it. Anytime someone asks me how I finally found success with my blog that I started in 2016 and was not able to make money from until 2024, like people just ignore that timeline, first of all, and I'll give them the course and they'll be like, oh no, this is too expensive, or it's not right for me, or whatever the case. But you asked me how I did it. I'm telling you how I did it, including the fact that I lived in my childhood bedroom in my 30s rent-free at my parents' on saved up money and just worked on this blog. Like, these are the ways that I did it. And I think people, like, we all do, I get it. We all want that quick fix. We just want our lives to change so badly, and we want our lives to change right now, that we end up putting more time in trying to find like the most convenient answer than just taking the path that is not glamorous and it's a little bit more difficult. So it's frustrating when people sometimes are like, oh, you're so lucky. Or I'll get people, even old friends of mine, in my DMs saying, oh, I'm so jealous. And I'm like, why? If you want this, if you want what I have, and your jealousy is telling you you want this too, then like, go do something about it. It's just, that can be a little bit frustrating. Also I'm just being very candid with you here, right? Like, I get it. Everyone is different, but it feels more frustrating, I think, because I'm like, man, I did all of the work, not only the work of applying this course, but like, it's not easy for me to be in my childhood bedroom. There's a lot of inner work stuff too that I did what I had to do to get here. And so it feels a little bit like, man, like, you just want me to give you like some easy answer, which one, I don't have, because I didn't take an easy path. And two, feels a little bit unfair. Like, if you want what I have, go do what I did. I don't know. So that's the thing that comes up. I'm just looking at my notes here. Sort of on a related note, the other reality of it that I realized early on, and that I say to people all the time, is there are a million different ways for someone to start a business, to start generating an income, to start working for themselves in the world that we live in today. And it's really easy to have shiny object syndrome. I had it for a long time, listening to all these podcasts, like how I built this. Every idea, I'd be like, oh, I could do that. Oh, I could do that. Oh, I could do that. And I've tried other things before I landed on, let's go all in with my blog. The thing that I realized is that when you find the thing that you are willing to put up with the non-glamorous side of, that is your path. That is what you pursue. It seems like maybe glamorous to people to be like, oh, you have a travel blog. It's not just sitting here and writing the articles. I'm having to teach myself how to code the back end of WordPress. I'm having to learn all of these new skills that weren't initially what I thought I was going to learn to just be able to write a blog. There are things like the Google algorithm. All of these different things come up. Taxes, finding your own healthcare, all of these things. Like, you find the thing that you're willing to put up with the unglamorous, unsexy side of because you like the other parts so much, that's your thing. And it's different for everybody. Another reality, which I've sort of essentially touched on, is sometimes you have to treat it like a business while it is still a hobby. So many people said this to me and I just couldn't make sense of it. But when I finally was like, no, this is what I do, this is how I spend my time, and it's not making me $1, it's not making me a cent, it's not making me any money, but for a year or for, however long that I can sustain it, this is my job. Doesn't matter that I'm not making an income right now because it's my hobby, but I want to turn it into a business, and there's not a switch that I can flip that just starts making it make money. I have to put time in, which brings me to my final reality here. I said I was going to do 5. I wonder if that was 5. We will see. You can dedicate time or you can dedicate money, but you need money to dedicate the time. I'm going to kind of rephrase that or say it again. When you're building your business or you're turning your hobby into your career, or even if it's already at that stage, you can either continue to pour time into it or you can pour money in to get someone to help you build it. If you have a full-time job or some kind of a job where you are making an income and you want to turn your hobby into a business, you don't have time to dedicate to it because you're working a full-time job. But you're making money at the full-time job. How much of that can you use to hire people to help you turn your hobby into a business so that it's generating enough where you can step away from your full-time job? And then the other piece of this, you need money to dedicate the time. What I mean by this is that I was in a fortunate position where I had savings so that I didn't feel, when I got laid off, I didn't feel like I immediately had to jump into another 9-to-5 or some kind of a job because I had built up an emergency fund. That money allowed me to have time to focus on turning my no income generating hobby into a business. There you have it. I still consider myself very early in the stage. Like 2024 is the first year that I've actually worked for myself and made an income. I don't only do the blog. I have some other stuff that I do thanks to my master's degree. 2023, I was building in the building phase. So I say that to say I'm very new in this world of self-employment, but hopefully what I've shared is insightful and maybe helpful for you and maybe gives you the push that you need if you want to turn your hobby into a business. Good luck.